are 5 things that you should know before you self-publish your book on Amazon. My name is Jan. Let's get into it. So I wrote a book back in 2025 and it's called Navigating Life in Uncertainty. It's about understanding, accepting, and navigating uncertain seasons with God through it all. And so basically, when I wrote this book, I just tried to jump right into it, y'all. I don't want y'all to be like me, so that's why I'm making this video. But I do want to first start by thanking Tony Gaskins because his Birth Your Book course helped me out a lot. I would also recommend purchasing that course because what I'll tell you today is just kind of like an overview, but his course gets a little bit more detailed as to everything that you need to have. Let's go ahead and jump right into it. Number 1, you want to start with a great outline. So with this outline, y'all, I started and I just wrote a basic outline. I thought that I just needed the titles to everything. So when I say you need a great outline or a detailed outline, you want to have those titles, the subtitles, the stories that you're going to put in there. If you're going to have any recurring themes or themes throughout your book, you also want to write out if you're going to have sections of the book, as well as how long each chapter and each subtitle is going to be. So once I finally did a really good outline, I decided to do 3 parts. So you have understanding uncertainty, accepting uncertainty, and navigating uncertainty, right? Then 3 titles underneath there. And then under each title, I have 3 subtitles. So pretty much you want to get as detailed as possible. And the reason you also want to, I said, write your stories that you're going to put in there because you don't want to have any duplicate stories. Start with that so that you know where you're going to put everything at. Number 2, this is where you will start writing. Once you have that detailed outline, this is where you can get into Word and start writing. If you don't have Word, use Google Docs. This is also where I messed up at. I use Pages. Apple Pages does not convert over to anything else. So unless you're just publishing through Apple's book publishing, don't use Pages. That was a big mistake of mine. It'll save you a lot of time if you just use Google Docs or Word. So once you start writing, it's also advised to just have like a nice schedule, y'all. I did not have a schedule. So the first 6 months, I kind of just played around. And then I finally was like, all right, I got to lock in once I had went through Tony Gaskins' course. But you want to basically make sure that you have a schedule that you're going to write on. You also want to make sure with that schedule that you do time blocks as well. And then you want to have like a deadline, but this deadline is going to be tentative because what I learned is that my deadline wasn't really my deadline. Like it got pushed out several times. You'll think you're going to have it published by this day and then you find out there's something else that needs to change or you're not quite finished. You're going to go through that process a lot trying to figure out when you're going to actually publish it. So have a deadline, but have a tentative one as well. Number 3, editing. You're going to probably edit your book. I put 5 to 10 times. It was probably more than that. When I tell y'all I read my book so many times, but I still wasn't satisfied. And I was asking people, how will you know when you're done? And nobody really had the same answer. You just know. It's just a feeling though, but you'll continue to read it and be like, I'm not sure. So you're going to go through editing it multiple times. You're going to read it multiple times. And you're going to do this before you actually send it to an editor. And so before you hire an editor, I would also have somebody that you know read your book. And the reason why is because, you know, that person is going to be able to look and say, okay, I can see what you're saying, or this doesn't make sense. Like they'll be able to give you that constructive criticism that you actually need. They don't necessarily need to edit the book because you're going to hire an editor, but they just need to be somebody that can read it and say, hey, yes, this flows or this doesn't. And that's it. And then after that, you'll go ahead and hire an editor and you can go on Fiverr to find an editor. And you want to make sure that this person is specialized in the genre that you're writing in and make sure that they have good reviews. You don't want to pick the very first person that you see. Ultimately, what you need to know is that even when you get those edits back and say they need to go through and revise something or you don't like something that they changed or whatever the case may be, you're always still going to be the final editor. I repeat, you have to be the final editor. So I don't care if you do hire the most professional editor, you should always go back and reread it yourself and do your final edit. Number 4, this is kind of the fun part, but it's still kind of a little tedious, but you're going to go into Canva and this is where you're going to create your cover. Also, when you do that, you can go over into Amazon and you'll go ahead and select, that you're, publishing a book or whatever. So this is where you go into the self portal and do all of that stuff. Now on Amazon's page, it is going to ask you about an ISBN. You have 2 options. You can go buy your ISBNs directly, which is what I did, and that's what I recommend. Or you can use Amazon's free ISBN. The thing about using Amazon's free ISBNs is that when you use theirs, you can only publish through their website. That's up to you if you only want to sell through them. I bought my own because I also have a website, so that's the reason why I did that. And once you buy your ISBN, that's when you're going to go over to the Library of Congress Control and get your free number from there. And these are gonna go in the front cover of your book. So remember I said you need to get Tony Gaskin's book course. He'll have like a page in there that you can literally copy and paste and put in your book. Once you have that, because this is also still part of step 4, you're gonna be in Canva and, you know, creating your book cover and stuff like that. Once you get that entered in over on Amazon, once you have your ISBNs and stuff like that, it'll have you enter in like the dimensions and stuff of your book. And once you do that, that's when you can download this book cover sample from Amazon. You can copy that and then put that into Canva so you know what size your book cover needs to be. I ran into a lot of issues with this because at first I didn't copy and go through this. And so this is what my cover ended up looking like in Canva. And if you guys want a longer video of me showing you how I did it, I'm happy to show you guys. So once you have done your book cover, you've got your ISBN, you got your Library of Congress control number, everything's good to go from there. You're ready to publish. And so once you get ready to publish, I would say set your publishing date out about 2 to 3 months. The reason why is because I did mine like a month out and I was like, you know, ordering samples. And when I got my first sample, I still couldn't see the vision. It was messed up. And I also read the book when I had my sample and there were still some edits I wanted to do at that point. So you'll still kind of be editing even when you get the book, because it's different than when you're looking at it on the computer versus looking at the actual physical book. So that's why I say set your publishing date like 2 to 3 months out so that you'll have time to go back and review and edit and stuff once you get your first sample. And when you request those sample copies, you only need about 2 to 3. I made the mistake of getting 5. You don't need that. You just need 2 to 3 samples to be able to do some revision, and that's it. And so once you have that done and you're satisfied with what the cover looks like, you're satisfied with the actual book and everything's good, you make your necessary changes. Order your author copies before your publish date. So the week before your book gets published, you're not able to order any author copies. I did not know that. I tried to do some author copies and I had to wait until it was published, but I also learned as well, once your book gets published, Amazon does not prioritize authors. They're going to wait a month to send you your book, but anybody who orders through the website, they'll get their books right away. So that's why you want to make sure you order your author copies way in advance. And that's why I say have your publishing date be 2 to 3 months out, because that'll give you some leeway. But other than that, I think that is pretty much that. This is like a quick overview. Let me know if there's something that you still need help with. And then of course, I'll have the links and stuff in the caption as well. But yeah, this is pretty much like a basic, I would say, general overview, but pretty much a high level of everything that you need before you publish your book. So happy writing. Let me know if there's anything else you all may need help with. I'll see y'all on the next video. Bye-bye.